I still remember that night like it was yesterday, even though I'm 26 now. It happened when I was only 12. Pause. My parents had gone out, leaving me with my older brother, Liam. Liam wanted to see his friends, so he made me promise not to tell our parents and left me alone. At first, I was excited. The house felt huge. Pause. I decided to watch a horror movie in the den. Terrible mistake. Halfway through, the house started making noises. Creaks, thuds, the wind tapping the glass. I got so scared that I ran upstairs and locked myself in my room to play video games. Suddenly, I heard the front door slam. Pause. I thought Liam was back, but the footsteps sounded heavy. Different. I looked out the window. Liam's car wasn't there. My heart dropped. Someone was in the house. Pause. I crawled into my closet and stayed perfectly still. I heard my bedroom door creak open. Someone walked in. I could hear them breathing, moving my things around. I held my breath until my lungs burned. Eventually, they left. 2 hours later, Liam came home to a ransacked house. Everything was gone. A few years later, we had a neighbor named David. He was always quiet, but he had this habit of staring at our house from his porch for hours. One rainy evening, while my parents were out, I saw him standing in our front yard, just staring at the door. Pause. The doorbell rang. I looked through the peephole. It was David. His face looked distorted. "I know you're in there," he whispered. I backed away, terrified. I heard him rattling the doorknob, trying to force his way in. Pause. I called my dad immediately. By the time he got home, David had vanished. We later found out he was having a mental breakdown, but that whisper, it still haunts my dreams. Fast forward to 2020. Lockdown. I was living with 2 roommates, Mason and Neil. The streets were silent. One night, around 3 a.m., Mason shook me awake. "Someone's on the fire escape," he breathed. Pause. We crept into the hall. Through the frosted glass, we saw a dark shadow prying at the window with a crowbar. Neil grabbed a bat and shouted, "I have a gun." The shadow bolted. Pause. When the police arrived, they found a bag left behind on the stairs. It didn't have tools for stealing. It had zip ties, duct tape, and a camera. They weren't looking for money. They were looking for us. This is the one I can't forget. A month later, I was in bed, almost asleep. I felt a cold breeze, like a window was open. I opened my eyes. Long pause. There was a man. A full-grown man, standing in the corner of my bedroom, just watching me. I didn't even have time to think. I let out a scream that tore through the house. The figure didn't hesitate. He dived straight out the window. Pause. My roommates rushed in, but he was gone into the night. We never found out who he was or how long he had been standing there, in the dark, watching me sleep. Years later, we moved to a new neighborhood. It seemed peaceful, but our neighbor, David, was different. He was a quiet man, but he had this chilling habit of standing on his porch, staring at our house for hours without blinking. Pause. One rainy Tuesday, my parents were out for a late dinner. I was in the kitchen when I felt that familiar shiver down my spine. I peeked through the curtain. There was David, standing in the middle of our front lawn in the pouring rain, staring directly at our front door. Pause. Suddenly, the doorbell rang. Ding dong. My heart stopped. I looked through the peephole. David's face was inches away, distorted and pale. "I know you're in there alone," he whispered. His voice sounded like sandpaper. Pause. He started turning the doorknob. Slowly at first, then violently shaking it. I scrambled for the phone and called my dad, screaming. By the time my dad got home, David was gone. We found out later he had a history of mental breakdowns, but that whisper through the door, it still echoes in my head at night. Fast forward to 2020. The world was in lockdown. The streets were deathly silent. I was living in a small apartment with my roommates, Mason and Neil. One night, around 3 a.m., Mason shook me awake. He didn't say a word, just pointed toward the living room. "Someone's on the fire escape," he breathed. Pause. We crept to the hallway. Through the frosted glass of the window, we saw a dark silhouette. A man was out there, using a crowbar to pry the frame open. He was focused, silent, and determined. Neil grabbed a baseball bat and slammed it against the wall near the window, yelling, "I have a gun. Get out." The shadow froze for a second, then scrambled down the metal stairs and disappeared into the darkness. Pause. When the police arrived, they found a backpack left on the stairs. It didn't have tools for a robbery. It had zip ties, heavy-duty duct tape, and a small camera. That man wasn't there for our electronics. He was there for us. This last story is the reason I never sleep with my windows unlocked. It was a month after the fire escape incident. I was finally feeling safe again. I was lying in bed, almost asleep, when I felt a sudden cold draft. Pause. I opened my eyes slowly. My heart didn't just beat fast, it stopped. There was a man. A full-grown man, dressed in all black, standing in the corner of my bedroom. He wasn't moving. He was just watching me. Long pause. I didn't even have time to think. I let out a scream that felt like it would tear my throat apart. The second I screamed, the figure bolted. He didn't run for the door. He dived straight out the window he had climbed in through. I heard his feet hit the awning below and then the sound of him running into the night. Pause. My roommates burst in, but he was long gone. We never found out who he was, or how many nights he had been standing there in the dark, just watching me sleep.